All right, online job searching. Have you tried looking for a job online, be it Twitter, social media, LinkedIn? Yes, people are very active on LinkedIn. But in order to introduce my guest this morning for us to understand and take us through this specific conversation, sitting closer to me, I have Thomas Omweri. He is an engineer at Rome. And on my far left, I have Resian Letiampe. She is the head of product at BrighterMonday. We appreciate you guys at BrighterMonday. A lot of you people have helped integrate employment and job searching, which, by the way, my first question will go to you. Take a look at how many people on social media have been very creative in terms of looking for jobs. Every single day. I don't think there's even personally on my timeline where I will not see someone saying, you know, I'm an engineer, or I studied medicine, or I did X, Y, Z. Retweet, you know, my next employer could be on your timeline, right? Is this good, the fact that we are seeing, or does this just go out to show how, as a nation, our unemployment levels have gone to this standard? It's a point of desperation by the time someone is now asking, you know, retweet. Someone could be on your timeline.
I think, I agree. It does show the level of unemployment that we've reached in our country. But I also think that it shows the determination of the people to kind of find jobs.
Right.
I wouldn't say that it's bad to kind of ask for help through social media. However, I would say that it's not effective because you wouldn't be able to attach, for example, your CV, or an employer might not be able to kind of find you, which is why we have places like BrighterMonday that enable you to kind of come and register, have your CV, and then reach out to employers, because we know that employers use our platform to look for the talent that they need.
And I'm sure your employers also look to social media to see which of these employees they will take. Why is social media so important in the sense that as a user of social media, I should have a clean timeline. I don't want my employer knowing what I did last week on Saturday. You know, try to keep things a bit fun, yes, but also remember that this is a public space, and in this day and age, a lot of employers, before even they read your CV, they'll probably check
your social media timeline. Right, it's really important because by the time you come and work for me, or you come to work for KTN, then you are ideally representing that organization. So you need to be able to kind of hold the values that that organization has, and that's why you would see that some people who have unsavory timelines might not get the job that they wanted because the organization doesn't feel that it reflects with their values.
I mean, Thomas, help us understand this. How has technology helped bring down unemployment and also introduce the employer and employee on a digital platform?
Thank you, Zinzi, for inviting me to the show yet again. And statistics show that most of the people, especially the young populace, spend 3 to 4 hours their time in a day online. And so it's only important that we look for these people online. We find them where we are, and then we display these opportunities to them. And getting jobs online is much, much convenient. And people are moving their operations away from the traditional or conventional way of operating.
Right.
And embracing the online idea. So when you get jobs online, it's at your convenience. So it's easier to see them and apply, of course. And it's cost effective. So that has become the most preferred means in the current age.
What do people do wrong when it comes to searching for jobs online?
There's a lot, I would say a lot, but some of those things that a job seeker needs to be wary of is that you need to look for something that really suits you. Again, the downside of having the online jobs, because it's convenient and easier to apply, someone would just go there, search for any job, and then click submit, 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 without having to go through the job description to even understand what that particular job requires.
Right.
So you need to be specific and even tailor your CV to match the job description. For instance, a software engineering role in Rome does not necessarily have the same duties as a similar role in Microsoft. So you need to not only look at the title, but delve into the description and understand what is it this employer needs.
Right.
and then you'll be able to suit.
Okay, so apart from Brighter Monday, which is one of the platforms online that Kenyans can search for possible employment rather,
Yeah.
what other online platforms are there?
There are quite several. And by the way, earlier on, I noticed you had a problem even pronouncing the name of my company, so I'll clarify.
Yeah.
Ring One Africa Media, it's actually Africa's leading online classifieds group, and it has subsidiary companies, each specializing in advertising a particular item, or rather category. And Brighter Monday is actually one of the subsidiary companies in the ROM group. So there are many. In Kenya, I see a number of them, but all I know is that Brighter Monday would offer that suiting environment for the job seeker, because the job seeker and even the employer is our number one interest. So we have a number of jobs there, and in this age where we have an increase in the number of scams, Brighter Monday takes their time to analyze the job and even moderate to be sure the job you are posting on that portal actually exists.
So how does Brighter Monday do that, analyze the scams and find out, okay, this is genuine and this is not genuine, to protect Kenyans from scammers?
So apart from the moderation that we do, we have an in-house staff that actually goes through each and every job and verifies up to location and, you know, designated people who work there. So we make sure that it's an actual job. And because we want to help, we want the society to kind of help us do this, you call it Nyumba Kumi initiative, I would think, but we have a report abuse button on our site. So as soon as you see a job that you feel asked you for money or, you know, didn't feel right, we ask you to kind of press that button, and somebody actually, you know, deactivates the job immediately. And, you know, we would go ahead as far as reporting this people who posted the job to the police. So we work hand in hand with them as well.
Have such scenarios happened?
They have.
How often?
Very, right now, I would say in the beginning it happened a lot before they understood how serious Brighter Monday was with the value of the job seeker and giving them correct content. But then now I can say we have a 0.01, you know, percent scam rate, which is awesome.
And what advice would you give to Kenyans when it comes to what do I search? What do I type in the search engine, or even on Brighter Monday, when it comes to looking for online jobs? What tips would you give?
So the thing that we would be able to advise you is just use key search words, right? So if we're looking for a job like software developer, if you come to Brighter Monday and type that in, you will be able to see all the jobs that come up with that. You can use location. So we have various filters. You can use, you know, salary. There's so many things that you can kind of use to see what suits you. And this is what Thomas was saying about making sure that you're kind of knowing. As a job seeker, one of the things that you need to have is a strategy, and then know what it is that you're applying for, and then look for them using those keywords. But we've made it very easy that even if you come in and type journalist, everything will come up that's relevant to that position.
All right, Thomas, I've got to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, sure. And earlier on, you asked about how to match the jobs, and it's amazing that even in this age where the unemployment rate is really high, I see several instances where an employer re-advertises a job 3-4 times.
Wow.
What's happening? Because there are a lot of people out here looking for those same jobs. And out of experience, I have come to realize that it's mostly because when you are applying for that job, you are not keen on what the requirements are. So you may be having the requirements, but you are not keen at the time of applying, so it can pass you by. So you need to be careful, read through and understand what is required, and then tailor your CV to match that, and then you stand the chance.
All right. And what about when it comes to placing my CV online?
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Yeah, you should, although
go ahead.
These days, again, there are security issues around that. But it's a balance of things. At the end of the day, it's a trade-off, because you want presence. You want to be out there, to create profiles on LinkedIn and on Brighter Monday and on other sites, so that you can be well placed. But it's always good to make sure wherever you are posting your CV on, the provider has you in mind, and they have a way of protecting you. Like in the case of Brighter Monday, because we really delve much into the security of the job seekers particularly, to ensure that they do not fall prey into the hands of con artists.
Right, but it's not only job seekers who can fall prey. Even the person who is doing the employment, the employing can also fall prey. So how do you also protect them from malicious people who are, sort of disguising themselves as potential employees?
Yeah.
So with Brighter Monday, we merge the two. We merge the employer and we make them meet, right? So we have the details of both job seekers and both the employers. And the same way that we would have a job seeker report that there's an issue, we would have an employer do the same and say that this person came to work for me and this happened during this time. So we then follow up, and again, we try and make sure that the environment is as safe for both users as possible.
All right, so Resian, what do I need, or rather, what advice would you give me for me to be shortlisted?
Yeah. Okay, so for you to be shortlisted, I would say that get a strong CV.
Okay, right? What is a strong CV? And especially for a lot of university young people, because that's where the population of unemployed people are. What is a strong CV to someone who has just finished university?
So even when you were in school, there's things that you did. You were maybe part of an association. You possibly studied something and you were able to kind of showcase this. The problem that we see is that people just put on a list of things that doesn't make sense to the employer. So at Brighter Monday, we help you do that. We can help you look at your CV and kind of highlight what your strengths are and help you match them to the kind of opportunities that you're looking for. So even for somebody who's a fresh graduate, of which we have a lot of, because they are very much looking for jobs, we do help them make their CV strong and tailor-made to whatever it is that they're looking for.
And probably just to add on to that, I know on Brighter Monday portal, there's a career center, or rather a blog, where most of these things are posted there, and the company gives a proper advice to job seekers and even employers on how best to place themselves and how to do your CV. And then, of course, in as much as there's internal mechanisms to assist job seekers to refine their CVs, we have general tips on how you can make it better. The wrong thing that most of the people do is they just make their CV current. Say, Zinzi, if you've been here for about 3 years, you may have to wait until the next job you get for you to update your CV. That should not be it. I mean, there are many jobs that you could suit in, and when you've come across this job that you think is important for you and you suit for it, then you need to go down and understand what it requires and then position your CV in a way that it can match. I like using my example, being a software engineer. There's a whole lot of things that you can do as a software engineer. So merely saying I'm a software engineer and that is it, may not help you much, because you need to go down into specifics. What is it that you are most conversant in, and what does the employer require, so that there is that one-on-one match. That way you stand a better chance. And
Resian, for Brighter Monday, is it only white-collar jobs, or would I find also, if I'm looking to find a job in industrial area, you know, the informal jobs, which is quite heavy and impactful in our economy, can I also find that on Brighter Monday, or it's just office jobs?
It is right now what you would call white-collar jobs, but this is simply because of the process of how these industrial jobs are kind of advertised and the skill set that they're looking for. It's very different, and you would find a lot of those people don't actually go online to look for those jobs. So right now on Brighter Monday, it's mostly white-collar jobs.
Okay.
Especially the mid-level, because you know, the target audience mostly would be the young populace who are more tech-savvy as compared to the high-end jobs. But of course, there are those high-end jobs as well, the managerial jobs and stuff.
Okay. And as a software engineer, talk to us. Take me through perhaps the possible trends that we're going to see of technology merging with employment, of course, with young people being at the center of focus.
Of course. Where we are heading in, I mean, as I said earlier on, we are moving totally away from the traditional way of doing things. And so we have to, you know, keep catching up. Let's make available these services where you would find your audience. And I may not have the exact numbers, but some of the researches, when you go through even the internet, you'd learn that 70% of the population, particularly in Kenya, is now has access to the internet, particularly on the mobile devices. So that's really a huge number when you compare to the just recent previous times. And that can only tell you that the number is increasing even much more by the day. So it is a challenge to any service provider who's providing anything out there, not necessarily job opportunities, but anything indeed.
Right.
And that's why I said Rome is an online marketplace. They have cars, jobs, property, everything, so that we can give these services to the audience where they are.
Resian, your thoughts, especially now that you are on the forefront, this is what you deal with every day as Brighter Monday, perhaps some of the trends that you're seeing emerging?
In the unemployment, so one thing I would like to say is that the unemployment rate is really high. It's at 41% right now. And on Brighter Monday, we have around 2,500 jobs on a monthly basis, and we have about 600,000 active job seekers.
Are there seasons when, the job seekers are more? Talk to me about that.
So the job seekers stay pretty constant. What is seasonal is jobs, I would say. So it goes with our how the year goes. So as you'd think, in December, a lot of the businesses are kind of winding down, preparing for the next year. So then there would not be so many job opportunities. So a job seeker would take this time to kind of revisit what they've been applying for and look at how they want to pursue the next year. Also, like, we have high seasons, so during the beginning of financial years, you will find that there are more jobs because everybody now has kind of budgeted and knows what they're looking for, and so they hire more.
I'm curious, how did last year look, given that last year we had 2 elections?
Yes, it looked pretty bleak. So we saw a drop in jobs. We also saw a drop in applications. So the market basically kind of tried to wait it out.
Lots of uncertainties.
Nobody really wanted to make a decision. Both job seekers and employers, they were just kind of trying to wait out the period. Yes. But I'm happy to say that it's picking back up, so that's good. Yes.
And Zizi, if you may allow me, I'll throw in just one more tip.
Yes, please.
There's also the alerts.
Yes.
Alerts is a fascinating feature that no one should really ignore. Because you will not be on that job searching website all the time looking out for jobs, but you will need a much more convenient way of alerting you. So if you're interested in a particular category of job, you could create an alert which then periodically reminds you or tells you, hey, there's this opportunity at a particular company in a particular place, and then you can decide to apply.
Okay. Perhaps your closing comments, especially towards young people.
I would like to encourage the viewers, particularly the young populace, to go ahead and look out for these jobs. Take advantage of features like the alert feature, so that it gives you much more convenience. But most importantly, anytime I get a chance, I never stop talking about security, computer security. And there's an increase in the number of scamming that's happening around. So you need to always look out and be careful. And some of the things you can do to protect yourself from con artists, make sure you do enough research to understand where this job comes from, who exactly is advertising it, which company. And the problem we have with some of the recruitment agencies, they just call job seekers for an interview without having to reveal to them where they're going to, which company is even advertising this opportunity. Because at the end of the day, you'd want to understand who I'm going to work for.
So do your due diligence.
Sure.
Okay. Rayson, your closing comments?
So for me, I would just say please visit us at Brighter Monday because we want to help you through your journey in your career. We will be able to kind of look at your CV, give you the relevant advice, and of course you find all the jobs there. So I think it's a one-stop shop for both the employer and the job seeker.
All right. Thank you so much to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely Thursday. And that was, we were taking a look at online search here on Tech Central, just a way of closing up the show. I hope you've also learned something new. Before we can close off the show with a story that's about to come right now, just a few feedback in regards to what we were asking this morning. 107 comments have come through in regards to what we asked, whether the loans from China are a blessing or a curse. All right, so of course you say loans are a blessing, but those given responsibility of managing these loans are a curse to this nation. Kenyans, we can't have a cake and eat it. We want good roads, SGR, free education, subsidized fair food, and we don't want loans. We want high salaries. We don't want to pay taxes. Who pays for this? So that's a question they're asking. Maybe the wordings are not right. It should have been the debtors rather are always slaves to the lender. That's one comment. Another one simply says it's a curse. Another one says an extreme curse. A lot of what is coming through is that it's an extreme curse. Abdal, you say it is not a blessing, it is definitely a curse. All right, so that's just some of the feedback that we're getting this morning. Let me see if I can just read a few more, because 107 comments have been coming through. A lot of you have also shared under the comment section that video of the Chinese citizen. Yes, I've also personally seen it. It's not one of the best. One comment says, it's a blessing for only 2% of Kenyans who will build hotels, land, choppers, high-end vehicles, houses for their families, while the citizens will applaud when they contribute the crumbs as Harambe. Okay, so I don't know. That's a lot of it. Okay, so that's just some of your thoughts coming through on social media. Thank you so much for your time the past 3 hours. Let's do this again tomorrow, same time, same place. And tomorrow is Friday. You know, hot topics will be in the building. And I'll tell you this for free. One of the things we'll be discussing is that issue of Nike. Would love to hear your thoughts. So get us tweeting as early as now. But until then, have a lovely day. Bye-bye.